Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clay, and I am the Bucks believer. Today, we saw the Bucks knock off a undermanned Los Angeles Lakers team that was once again without LeBron James and Anthony Davis, with a final score of 112-97. In this game, the Bucks' leading scorer was Jrue Holiday, who has been a bit of an under-celebrated third best player on this team so far this year. And I think that that's a bit of a bummer because Holiday has been quite spectacular for the Bucks. He did have that 10-game stretch where he could not play because of his battle with the health and safety protocols, but ever since he's come back, it feels like he's more involved in the Bucks offense and has been able to score more and facilitate more and create more shots for his teammates following that absence. As he spends more time playing with his teammates in Milwaukee, he seems to be establishing a better chemistry, and since the All-Star break, that has been particularly evident, especially in games like tonight against the Lakers, and I guess it would have been a week from Monday against the Indiana Pacers. In this one, Jrue had 28 points, grabbed 8 rebounds, and dished out 6 assists, while shooting very efficiently from the field, knocking down 11 of his 16 shots and 3 of his 5 three-pointers. Jrue did a great job in this game of getting to the basket, where he was able to use his size and strength in order to finish around rim protectors. He also was able to bully Dennis Schroeder and get himself into some great position for easy looks at the basket. As I said, Jrue was 3 for 5 from beyond the three-point line as well, so he was able to knock down both his open catch and shoot looks that were created by his teammates, as well as some off-the-dribble looks and step-back shots that he's been pretty effective at so far this season. I also mentioned that he had 6 assists, and as usual, Jrue did a great job of driving to the basket and looking to kick the ball out to the perimeter for his teammates. He also did a nice job of finding cutters going to the basket for easy shots. And one final area where I was impressed with Jrue's playmaking was on a play where Giannis drove to the basket, found Jrue in the dunker spot that Coach Mike Budenholzer added to the offense this season that has made it a lot more dangerous. And from that dunker spot, Jrue found a wide open Dante DiVincenzo for a three-pointer that Dante was able to knock in. DiVincenzo had 13 points and made 3 of his 6 three-point attempts in this game. But with Holiday, I think that this was a great game for him, and he was also quite disruptive on the defensive end, coming away with 4 steals. He did have 4 turnovers, which offsets that a little bit, but the Bucks and Lakers were both pretty sloppy with the ball, and this was a bit of a turnover fest, as I will get into a bit later. The Bucks had a dominant defensive performance, and along with what Holiday did for them, I think that's the largest reason why they were able to win. The Lakers started out red hot from beyond the three-point line, making 8 of their first 12 shots, and a few of those were ridiculous contested shots from guys like Kyle Kuzma and Wesley Matthews that you're not always particularly worried about knocking down threes in your defenders' faces. But the Lakers were red hot to open up this game, and although they couldn't really generate any points inside the arc, that three-point shooting got them an early lead in the first quarter. I think it was about 30-24 once that quarter ended. But from there on out, the Lakers really struggled to hit anything. They went just 2 for 24 the rest of the game to finish 10 for 36 on the game. And the Bucks' defense was a large reason for that, as once again, they showed that they are willing to adjust, willing to switch more often, and that made life a lot more difficult for the Lakers shooters, as they just weren't able to get as many wide open looks. I also think the Bucks did a better job of communicating, as there were clearly some defensive miscues in that first quarter that led to some really easy open shots for the Lakers role players. The Bucks also forced 22 turnovers, which was really impressive because that's an area where they have consistently ranked at the bottom of league-wide, as Coach Mike Budenholzer's defensive scheme doesn't necessarily call for the most aggression, which is very different from what prior coach Jason Kidd liked to do on the defensive end. But it was good to see the Bucks force turnovers at a higher rate than usual. That's actually something they've done a better job of ever since the All-Star break, and a large reason for that is the disruptiveness that their starting backcourt of Jrue Holiday and Dante DiVincenzo is able to create for opposing guards. Both of those two guys do a great job of putting pressure on and making life difficult for the ball handlers of the opposing squad. Holiday takes on the most difficult matchup night in and night out, and in this game, as I said before, he had 4 turnovers. DiVincenzo also did a nice job of being disruptive on defense, as he had 3 steals himself. I think I might have said turnovers for Holiday, but I meant he had 4 steals. And then DiVincenzo had 3 steals. Both of those two guys is disruptive defense, allows the Bucks to get out in transition and generate some easy baskets at the rim. So that is always a positive and something that you want to see. So great job of being disruptive on the defensive end for the Bucks. Unfortunately, they were not able to do the same on offense, or I guess it was actually more of the same, because the Lakers turned the ball over a lot, the Bucks turned the ball over a lot. So it was almost offsetting, as the Bucks had 21 turnovers to rival the Lakers' 22, and a whopping 9 of those turnovers came from Giannis Antetokounmpo. Antetokounmpo wasn't awful in this game, as he had 25 points and 10 rebounds on 8 for 13 shooting and made 8 of his 10 free throws. He did a really nice job of getting great position on the offensive end and attacking his defenders. Usually it was Andre Drummond, or in the second half it was more of Markieff Morris. But in that first half, Giannis was exploiting that Drummond matchup, and he threw down multiple dunks right in Andre's face. But those turnovers are a real issue, and Giannis has to do a better job of making the correct decision, as it felt like a large number of those 9 turnovers came on incorrect passing reads where he ended up throwing the ball away. Whether that's making an inaccurate kick out to a shooter in the corner or a poor pass to someone cutting to the rim, that kind of turnover is unacceptable, and Giannis needs to clean it up a little bit in order for the Bucks to succeed. If it weren't for those 21 turnovers, the Bucks probably would have blown the Lakers out by an even healthier margin than they did in the game. So, yeah, the turnovers are an issue, but not necessarily something I'm super worried about, as the Bucks do rate at the top of the league in terms of turnover prevention. Finally, I do want to touch on Chris Middleton a little bit, as Middleton had 17 points on 8 for 18 shooting, nothing too spectacular there. He did have a red-hot second quarter stretch where he made all 5 of his shots in a row and had 11 points, but outside of that hot stretch, there wasn't too much in this game from Chris from a scoring standpoint, but I did like to see some of the playmaking skills that he showcased once again. Chris had 8 assists, and overall, during this season, he's done a really nice job of distributing the basketball and taking on a more heavy playmaking load, especially during the time where Jrue Holiday was out. That has allowed Chris to still be a real offensive weapon to the Bucks, even though his jump shot hasn't gone in at the same rate that it did last season. So I'm definitely happy to see the Bucks come away with this win. I don't think that they played particularly well on offense, but because of their dominant defensive game, they were still able to come away with a 15-point effort against a good, although greatly injured, Lakers team. Let me know what you thought of this game in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, especially if you are a fellow Bucks believer. This is the place for you. I think that I've covered everything that I wanted to cover, so that's going to be it for me. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all again very soon.